G'day and welcome back. From time to time people will send me something, a radio or something, to repair and put on the video. It's a donor radio. They don't want them back, they just want to see it done on video. So today I've got one from Buzz1151. Now Buzz is a great bloke, I really enjoy his videos. He puts so much effort into them. The production is fantastic, little comedy routines. I really enjoy his videos, and when one pops up I drop everything and go and watch it. So he sent me this radio over. I'll have a look inside.
Well, thanks for that introduction.
I haven't opened this yet, so I'm not sure what's inside. I'm not sure what the radio is. Here's the transformer. We spoke about this. He was working on a radio. The transformer failed. He tried to have a look at it, but said, it's not worth the effort. He put another transformer in his set. When I spoke to him, I just got my coil winder, so I said, I'll throw it in the box with the radio. We'll have a look at it a bit later. I may not do anything with it now. It's got a little note here. Let's see what that says. Hello David, here is your 1941 RCA model 26BP. It's in rough condition, but I know you can restore it to its original glory. I hope you can make a video series on YouTube with this radio. Thanks mate. Cheers, Buzz. Good on you, Buzz. I'll have to turn the box upside down so I can get the radio out.
This really is exciting for me.
Well, there it is. Ooh, Buzz, what have you done to me? Oh, wow. It's worse than I imagined. It's got a vinyl type coating on it, but it looks awful. So tuning on one side, that works. Volume on the other. It's got some pieces of wood, and I'm assuming that's like a louver that you would pull over to protect the front. This is obviously a battery set. I'm not sure how you get it open. The case splits in half, and there's a couple little catches here, so I suspect you would lift those up and that'll split. There it is. Yeah, okay. And there it is. Wow. It's a battery set, alright, but it's also got mains, so that's good. There's a valve there, or a tube I suppose I should say. And this is just packing. Just packing. Okay. I've just noticed there's a sheet of asbestos here. It's protecting the radio from the heat from the rectifier. I'm going to take this out to the backyard, spray it down with water and remove it and dispose of it. So I'll do that first, we'll come back and then I'll have a look at the radio. I've done what I said I was going to do. I've removed that asbestos sheet there. I wet it down. I put it in a plastic bag and sealed it. I'll keep it because I need to make a new protective sheet to go there. So I can use the old one as a pattern. Let's see what we've got here. There's a 7-pin miniature valve goes in there. That was separately packed. I can see another one down the back here, and right at the back here is another miniature valve. So I'm surprised they had these in 41. I didn't think they came out sort of till after the war. These will be all 1.4 volt valves or tubes. There's the rectifier tube socket, audio output transformer. That'll be a smoothing cap. I have no idea what that is. There's no transformer, no power transformer, so I'll assume that's a 100+ volt filament rectifier tube. There's a fixture on the back here, and it would be to fit the power cord in there when you go to battery. This power cord's been changed at some point, and it's got the newer polarized plug on it with a wider prong on one side. So that's not going to fit in there. I've grabbed an old non-polarized American plug, and that would... oh, doesn't go in. This is the back of the mains inhibit switch that I was just looking at. It has a spring-loaded, well I assume it's spring-loaded. I should be able to, yeah, it's spring-loaded. So when I try and push the little plug in there, it can't do it. Okay, so I don't know if someone's modified that or there's something wrong with it. I'll work it out eventually, I guess. It's just occurred to me that the original plug would have had this edge cut off here and on the other side as well. And that was to prevent you just sticking any old plug in there and being able to run it off battery and mains simultaneously. This is the battery carrier, and it's rusted out. The batteries have been left in. There's holes in there, but I think they might be manufacturing holes. I don't think it's actually rusted through. So hopefully I can clean it up. I'll see what I need to do with that. The speaker looks alright. It's got a hole there. That might be a tear there. Apart from that, it looks okay. Dial cord's intact. And it also has an antenna on the end. Looks like provision for an external antenna there. I can't see in the bottom, it's got a panel on it. Looks like a few screws there to undo. I'll take that off. We'll have a look inside. The screws are out. Oh, hey, it's all been recapped. It's got all new caps in it. Oh, there's a floater. With the battery framework there, it stands up quite nicely. Yeah, so it's got all new capacitors in it, and they're Sprague capacitors. I think they're a pretty good brand, aren't they? Little orange drops, yeah. Not keen on this one just floating around. It's very small. What is it? 150 microfarad at 200 volts working volts. Well, that's the second smallest capacitor I've ever seen. There's been some attempt to glue that on. In correspondence with Buzz, he didn't say anything about having serviced this thing, so I don't think he's done it. He said it was just lying around the house for a while, so he thought he sent it to me and I could have a go at it. I don't see any reason why I wouldn't just power it up. I'll put the tubes back in and put some power on. I've got 117 odd volts there on dim bulb. We'll just see if it's okay to start with. Oh, nothing's happening. Turn it on, that's a good idea. Now it's a battery set, but I assume the rectifier's got to heat up. I did print the schematic out here. Might be directly heated cathode, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it might be actually. I'm not hearing anything. What have we got? Oh, 95. Probably not going to work down there. I'll go to full power. It should be okay. So there we're back to 115, 17 watts. Still can't hear anything. It's dead. Just listen to the speaker. I just hear a very small hum. I'll scratch the antenna. There's nothing coming through the speaker, so the antenna is not connecting to the speaker. I'll put my finger on the volume control. So there's the center one. That should have something. Oh, I can just hear a slight tickle. Not much at all. Looking at the schematic, here's the output valve. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the grid. If I put my finger on that, we'll see what that does. Now it's pretty crowded in there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's the one with the capacitor on it, which makes sense. If I go through the roof, you'll know why. Oh, a little bit there. So what we have is, I put my finger here, and I didn't get much sound at all. It goes into the grid of this 1S5, and yeah, that's a mess there. It should just go through a triode, I think, and come out, comes out the plate, and there's the capacitor, the orange one. I just put my finger on here. So that side of it should have 74 volts. Could be this valve is weak or not sitting properly. I could try wobbling it if I can get to it. I'll do some quick voltage checks. I'm pretty sure that's the floating ground, I guess you call it. So that one's pin 1. Pin 2 is the filament. Pin 3 is that one, I think. And it should be about 85 volts. 86. Next one is the screen. So I think that's about the same. Be about the same. Oh, 89. Okay. Now the other side of this. Oh, look, it's not even connected. Ah. That could be an issue. Yeah, that's poor soldering. Look at that. It's not connected either end, really. I've taken power off the radio. That's the grid for the output valve there, and I think that's that capacitor there, pretty sure. And that goes to the plate of the 1S5, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's interesting. I was just going to check that to make sure it had 74 volts. So we need pin 5, actually pin 5 on both valves. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's the indicator there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it needs to go right there. I'll solder that in. I'll come back and we'll try it out. All right, that's back in, nice and solid. Okay, I'll put some power on. It's warmed up. It's making some noise. Doesn't work. It's receiving, but yes, something not right there. Did receive a station down here. There's something there. I'll put the antenna right on the end here. I'll plug the antenna into the external antenna port. I think that one's the antenna. This should be the ground. Oh, doesn't go in. That'll do. Yeah, not getting anything. It's better before. Alright, needs a bit more work, I think. It's the following day, and last night I just turned this off and left it. I went and wrote an email to Buzz. He's come back this morning and he said he got this as a gift for Christmas. He opened the back, saw all the rust and just sort of put it aside. He found it again and then sent it to me. So he hasn't touched it. I don't think he even took the packing out of the back. I think it was left exactly as it was from eBay. So what I think's happened is someone's had a go at replacing all the capacitors. The radio hasn't worked and they've just put it on eBay and moved it on. Now, normally when you tune along here and you get static and noises, but you don't actually get any stations, that can often be that the local oscillator is not running. So I thought before I start doing anything today, I'll just make sure the oscillator is in fact running. I did have a quick look around this area of the local oscillator. Everything seems to be there. I didn't actually check the coil or anything, but we'll just see if it's working or not. So I'll put some power on. Okay, I'll let it warm up. This is the bottom of the 1A7. That's the mixer converter. There's a little capacitor there. That's a little blocking, DC blocking capacitor. So this will be the grid of the oscillator. Let's see what we have. We have a sinusoidal wave. Now it's not changing with the tuning. In fact, I can see it says 50 Hertz there, and that will be the mains frequency. So it's picking up the mains frequency somewhere. So the oscillator is not running. I've determined this local oscillator section here is not working. I'm going to forget this end of the radio at the moment. I'm going to work from the amplifier back. So I can put in an audio frequency signal here. It'll check the triode section of this tube here. Go and check the output tube, the output transformer and the speaker. We'll just make sure we get a nice clean audio signal through there. If that's alright, we'll start moving backwards this way. I've got my signal tracer generator here. I've got it set to generator and it's turned on. You can just see the 3 tabs of the volume control there. I've turned the volume down on the volume control and there it is. I gotta say it's not very loud. Anyway, we'll accept that. I had a second thought. I'm not content with that AF signal I put through because it's just a tone. I'm going to run some music through. This will see what the speaker sounds like because the speaker looks pretty ratty. So I'll try it out. I suspected that speaker was crooked. I'll take it out and I'll connect the shop speaker up. I've taken the speaker out completely. I've put this shop speaker on the wires there. I'll try it out. That's pretty good. Well, that's much better with that. I'm not 100% clear, but you know, we'll work on that. At least it is working. I removed the clips for the phone. I thought I'll give it a try again. Maybe it's come good. And
in this country. So on that COVID night in June...
it's working. What?
Somebody's describing it as... Behind them came a Smoky Bay.
I don't know what happened. So maybe the speaker was just incapable of reproducing. The oscillator didn't test well, so I'm not sure what's going on there either. I've connected my oscilloscope back onto that blocking capacitor where I had it before, and it's working. So now if I tune it, that will change. There it goes. So that'll end up somewhere near 10 something at the end of the scale. Yeah, okay, so it's working. I have no clue. When I was checking the local oscillator before, I connected the scope directly onto this little capacitor. If you do that, you change the frequency that the oscillator is running at. You don't need to. You can just rest it there. It'll pick it up. And we still have a good signal. If you look at the megahertz down here, 1.78 or so, we can see that this is out of alignment because the station I'm listening to is 612. 612 plus 455, which is the IF frequency, comes to 1067. So this is what, 1077. So the alignment is out. Now that I know it works, I'm going to go through from one end to the other. I will check all the connections and make sure everything is right, maybe rearrange some of these capacitors. They're all over the place. I'll sort that out. I'll come back and maybe try and do an alignment if it's still working. I finished doing all the recap and I checked every connection. Every resistor had to be replaced. They were all way out of spec. I haven't done the filter caps yet, but I have finished up to about here. So I'm going to turn it on and see if it still works. I did test it when I got to about here. So I started this end, got to about here and tested it there and it works still. But it still had that massive hum in it that's being generated within the set somewhere. And when you turn the volume up, it just squealed. So a lot of feedback there. So I'll put some power on. I'll go to dim bulb. It's been about a minute. It seems to be working normally. I'll go to full power. It won't work at that voltage. I got the hum. Oh, there's noise there.
Radio on during the night when you're sleeping is that you've learnt that as a self-soothing mechanism. And people...
Wow, that sounds really good. All that hum's gone. There's still some mains hum there, but all the rest of the hum's gone. And the squeal?
You've learnt to go and if you
So you couldn't turn that up more than a third of the way.
expecting your brain, isn't it?
Because he tried to ramp it, did Evans, and it went way over his orange helmet.
Sports channel there.
Poland. What were you interested in here in exploring?
It works all right. Gosh.
Running down the line, both barrels, Ace wins easily. Second into...
Music channel there. No worries. Wow, that's impressive. That's gone from being a dog to working really well. I'll turn it off. I need to now look at the filter capacitors, and that'll be the last part of the component restore. So let's have a look at that. Here's a couple of the filter capacitors. These two ones up the top here have been replaced, of course. This one may have been replaced at some point. It's running cold. It's a dual capacitor. This thing here, I have no idea what it is, but it's getting very, very hot. So I think that's a capacitor. That needs to be checked. I don't know what's in there. Here's the top view of the suspected capacitor. It has new leads on it. What I'll do is unsolder one of the wires. I'll measure it and see if it comes up as a capacitor or a resistor. If it's a capacitor, it's getting way too hot. Almost can't touch that. I've disconnected this wire from the rectifier tube there. I've connected this to the ground, which is the other end of that black wire. So we'll see if it's a resistor or a capacitor. And I've got it on resistor. It says it's a 2.8k resistor. We'll go to capacitance. And it says it's a 511 microfarad capacitor. Not sure I believe either of those. I'll take it out of the can. There's a little tab bent over the end of the chassis there and soldered. I'll see if I can bend it back. See if I can slide it off. There it goes. Yep, it's a resistor. No, it isn't. What is it? I really don't know what it is. Got a wire at the bottom and a tab at the top. It looks like a strip of something with a wrap around it and then the shield. People are watching this and going, oh, you idiot, it's a whatever it is. I don't know what it is. Okay, I've sorted myself out. It's R14, which is 2.7K. And it's measuring 2.8k, so that's all right. I'll reassemble all that. I'm happy to leave that in, of course. I've refitted that resistor and I've soldered it all back in. I'm just checking the filter capacitor here. I measured it. It's a 40 microfarad capacitor, but it was measuring about nearly 70, which is an indication that it may be suspect. I know there's a fair variation, but that seems an awful lot. I've got it connected to my capacitor leakage tester here. It's been sitting here for a little while. It's got 152 volts. It's rated at 150 volts working. And it's got 0.22 milliamps of leakage. A new capacitor will test at about 0.05 or 4, so it is leaking more than a new capacitor would. I'm going to change the capacitor anyway, but I'm just trying to get an idea of what a standard leakage rate for a capacitor like this would be. So this is just a bit of me trying to figure things out. I'll just put some little capacitors I've got here that'll fit in there nicely. I've finished reworking this area here. A new capacitor there, new capacitor there. There's another one down the back there, a filter capacitor or electrolytic, and a new resistor along here. Much neater, it's all opened up, and I've taken that other filter capacitor out of the circuit. I'll put it on dim bulb and see what happens. I have been playing with the power supply, so I better make sure I haven't made any mistakes. Looks alright, I think. I'll put it on full power. Whoa. I just quickly killed the power. This resistor here is getting hot. I've done something wrong somewhere. I can see what I did. I connected this to ground. It's supposed to go up on the capacitor, of course, not on the ground. There it is there. It's connected to the positive side of both of those capacitors. I've gone from there to ground, so that's why it started getting hot. I put a new resistor in and it's connected to the right place this time. Okay, let's try again, eh? I noticed that the wattage was too high. Well, I noticed it was higher than it was anyway. That seems more like it, and now the voltage is up to 100. It was down to 91 before. So I think we're okay.
Lanes 9 for 227 with Amir Jamal once again. Getting absolutely peppered.
Certainly are.
Pat Cummins, 5 since before he became captain. 7 since. So he's actually done better on that.
You probably can't hear that, but the hums know better. So, you know, wasting my time, I think.
World class.
But it is working well.
Looking for third. Jamal dances down the track rather optimistically.
I'll set it up and I'll do the alignment. I'll show you something on the schematic here. Look at this resistor here. It's 33 meg. There's one here, 150 meg. And thanks to Paul Carlson for pointing this out in one of his videos quite a while ago now. But that M doesn't stand for meg, it stands for 1000. And I think it's the Roman numeral M for 1000. I'm assuming that's what it's come from. When I first looked at this, I thought 150 meg in a radio? Be like trying to pass a current through a brick. I've set up to do the alignment. The first thing that needs to be done is the 2 IF transformers, or there's 4 in there, and they need to be tuned to 455. That's the intermediate frequency of this radio. I'll quickly show it on the schematic for those who may not know what's going on. Here's the 2 cans we just looked at. There's the dotted line to represent the cans. Inside are 2 coils and a capacitor. That's a tank circuit. Each one of these is a tank circuit. We're going to slug tune with these tiny little slugs here. We're going to slug tune that so that it resonates at 455 kilohertz, and this will do the same 455 and these two as well. So our 455, or our signal will come out here. This will only pass the 455 through that tube there, 455 again, and then it goes off there. The grid for this mixer, converter or detector is on top. It's a grid cap. I'll put a lead on there, the signal generator lead on there. There's my analog AC meter attached to the plate of that output valve, and that's B minus. The signal generator B minus is also attached along there as well. There's the grid cap there for the mixer, converter, first detector. I will just put my generator clip lead on there. That means it's not directly connected to it. It's a capacitor coupling type connection. Otherwise you would need to put a capacitor in there. I'll put the power on. I'll let that warm up for a minute or two, and then I'll come back and we'll do some adjustments. I'll use this generator here. You can read it out there. There's 455 and there's no sound, there's no tone. So I'll search for it. I know it's out. Wow. Well, there it is there. So that's up at 600. It's supposed to be 455. That's where a radio station is. Alright, let's go back to 455. Because the adjustments on these transformers are so far out, I'm not going to be able to do it this way. I'm going to have to bypass this one, and I'll inject the generator signal into the grid of this valve instead of that one, and then we'll just do this one first. I've switched the generator output to this capacitor here. This is 0.01, and it's going to the grid of the IF valve. So that's the valve or the tube between the two cans, the IF cans. So I'll see if I can find it. We can hear it. Yeah, we hear something there. So let's tune that. And it's way out again. Right, at least we can get it. So I'll put it back on 455 again. Here's my analog meter. I'll just peak that. I don't need a reading of it. It's just the maximum deflection. Alright, I'll adjust this. It should get louder. I can kill the sound if we need to. I've run out of adjustment there. I'll go around the other side. Here's the same transformer at the top. I'll wind it in, I guess. I've turned the generator down a little. We'll see if that's about the peak, and it's just going to keep going. Oh gosh. It's totally gone in too far. I'll turn the speaker off. There's the maximum about there somewhere. A bit more. Yeah, just about there. That'll change and I'll take that off. But it's almost disappeared into the into the can there. So there's a little spring. Oh, you could put it back on. Well, okay. That's where it's ended up, so I'll leave it there. That little spring just keeps a bit of tension on the core there, so it doesn't move around. I think I can get the little spring back. Yeah, there it is. So the spring is there, but it's weird. It shouldn't be that far in. The capacitors in here may have changed their value. I'm back on the bottom one again. I'll just make sure that's peaked, and I think it is. Yeah, that's about it there. Alright, so I'll leave that one alone at this stage. I will go back and recheck all these. I've connected the generator to the grid cap again. I decided to put it through a capacitor. I'll get a better result, I think. Alright, we'll try the top one. Oh dear. Just knocked that generator. I just knocked the generator there. That's why it jumped. That looks about it there. Alright, very good. We'll see what they can get out of this one. Not much. It's pretty right, actually. I'll go back and just check the other ones. There's the second IF on top. There's that wound out a little bit. So that's peaked again. I'll peak the bottom of the second transformer again. I think that's about right. Yeah, right there. Okay, that's the IF transformers done. It's time to set this pointer and get all the tuning gangs, the three tuning gangs, to be aligned with each other. So I bottomed out that capacitor there, and this is supposed to be a 16th below 1550 or 550, I mean. And I can just move that along a little bit. That just moves, that pointer. I'm not going to get too worried because we might have to adjust it when we get back here. This is 1600 here. It's upside down because I stuck the sticker on while the radio's up the other way. But it says to put it on 1600, and then we'll tune the three tuning gangs. So that's 16 by my eye. I've connected the generator to this antenna here, and that'll radiate it into the radio's antenna. I need to select the generator to 1600. It's out. The American sets I've done do it this way. They trim at the 1600 and then they go and adjust the oscillator at 600. I don't understand that. I would adjust the oscillator, which does the bulk of the adjustment, and then trim it at 16. Obviously they do it for a reason, but I can't work it out. So I'm going to do what I always do and do it at 600, and then I'll trim the length of the capacitor, if you like, to match the oscillator. I just don't get it. So I'm being naughty. I'm going to do it my way. If it comes back to bite me, well, so be it. I'll go and do it the way they say. So there's 600. I've set that. That's 600. I've got the generator on 600. I need to rock the tuning capacitor and this oscillator screw to get the absolute maximum peak. So I'll just move the tuning a little and peak it and then follow it up the oscillator. I think it's about right actually. So I'm getting a bit more there. So I'm turning the oscillator now. So I've peaked the oscillator. I'll just peak the tuning as well. Peak the oscillator again. Alright, so now everything is set to 600. That's at 600. The oscillator's at 600. The signal going in, of course, is 600. Now, as you can see, the pointer is now out a little bit, so I need to push that over to line that up. So now everything's lined up. The pointer's lined up, the tuning gang's lined up, the oscillator's lined up. They are all working at 600 kilocycles. I'll now run the pointer up to 1600, then I'll trim it to match. I'll need to go back and forth a bit. They will, they'll muck each other up for sure. So there's 16. And I'll set the generator to about 16, that's good enough. Here are the three trimmers on top of the tuning capacitor. This one on the end is the oscillator trimmer. And you can tell it's the oscillator capacitor because it's smaller than the other two. This is, the Americans do this, the Aussie ones, they don't do it. Another clue is this tuning capacitor is lined up with the oscillator coil. The next one along is the antenna trimmer, and that's easy to pick. The wire off it is going to the mixer valve. So the remaining one has to be the TRF adjustment. I've turned the speaker off, I'll just put it on for a second. And you can hear the signal there. We have got a reading on our meter here. I'll just peak the meter. I think that's about it. We just go along and just peak them all. Let's see what that one is. Yeah, that one was right. Try the last one. This is the TRF trimmer. Yeah, that's about right too. I'll go back to 600. We'll make sure it's still lined up down there. I've set the generator to 600 again, and if I wind towards that 600 mark, hopefully it'll peak. And it's perfect. I'm leaving that exactly as it is. I've taken the generator and the meter off. I've got a marker here now, so there's 600. The next station is 612, so it should be about there. I can just hear it now actually. Bit of Nielsen there. So that's working alright.
And there might be a way to make it more avoidable in the future.
That has got so much more power. Oh, like there's so much more volume.
Host and then one crowded hour.
It works really well now. I didn't think this was ever going to work nicely, but it works really good. That sounds fine. Alright, so there's one thing I really want to have a look at, and it's this speaker. If I push down on it, you can hear it rubbing. As Shango would say,
this is going to be a tough ass fix.
But I'll leave the speaker to next week. I also need to do the battery holder frame. There's some other little adjustments I need to do to the radio as well. So thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed what I did today, and I hope you can join me next week for my next radio adventure.
Good night, everybody.